great to be here. I feel a little bit like coming back to my roots, not because I went to school here. I couldn't possibly have gotten in at that time. But because I spoke when I was a provincial member of Parliament to one of the first model parliaments. We were arguing as to whether it was 1986 or 87, but it was one of the early ones. And I, looking around, and realized that none of you were even a thought at that time. So it's great to have a chance to come back and say a few things to you about politics, about the political process, about some of its great challenges and some of its possibilities as we go forward. Let me just say to all of you that I think one of the big challenges we face in the world today is that we need to enlist the idealism and the sense of enthusiasm of every citizen when it comes to the political process, the public process, the public coming to judgment, coming to some common decisions about our common good. But most of all, we need to enlist the enthusiasm of our younger people, because it's very, very clear that the big problem we have in participation in politics is a widespread problem across the spectrum, but it's a particular challenge for people who are younger. The number of people voting between the ages of 18 and 30 is well below 50%. And that is a crazy phenomenon. Now, I realize it's sort of like screaming at a classroom of people who are not there, that the fact that you are here and you are engaging and participating means that there's an even better chance that you will be participating and engaging as you get older, as you go through university, you come out of university and do whatever is coming next. But the fact remains that this question of why don't people participate, or why have people turned away from the political process, is, I think, one of the critical questions that needs to be debated. And there are a lot of explanations for it, a lot of discussions as to why it's true. I think the biggest reason why it's true is because politics has not succeeded in talking about the issues that actually matter to your generation. And until we're able to do that, until you're able to see your reflection in the political process, I think it's going to be harder for us to really engage people in the process. And that, I think, is one of the toughest and most necessary things that we all have to do. I hope that your participation today will be a sign that you want to participate and you want to engage and you want to tell us what's on your mind and why it's important and why we should be discussing it. The only thing I can say is about the generation of which I'm a member. Dr. Bennett is a member, some others are a member, the so-called baby boom generation. I can only tell you that we didn't wait around to be asked our opinion about whether or not we should engage in politics. We just said we're going to. And it may be a phenomenon that our generation has cast too big a shadow. And that in fact we're not doing enough to engage and get other generations to come forward and really participate. So that's one problem. The other problem, I think, is a public sense, a growing sense of cynicism about the political process itself. That is to say that politics is a dirty business, it's an unfortunate business, it's a nasty business, and we shouldn't be encouraging people to go into it, we shouldn't be encouraging people to participate in it. But I just want to say a word about that before I get to some of the issues that I know you're going to be discussing. Politics is a necessary part of life, and it's an unavoidable part of almost everything that we do. Because really, politics is, as I said before, it's about how we come to judgment. It's about who gets what, when, where, and how. It's about values and morals, and public values and public morals. And it's also about power. There isn't a unit that exists that doesn't have politics. There's politics in the family. which is the first unit that we all know. We grow up in the family. And I think you'll all recognize it when I say that there's a power system in the family. And there's a value system in the family. Now, you don't get to vote as to who's going to be your mother and father. I know some of you might like to have such a vote. I know that my children would have loved to have such a vote. But nevertheless, the fact remains that the family is, in a sense, a political unit. We don't think of it that way, but it is. Families make decisions. Families have values. Families have power. And families have issues around who has the power, who makes decisions, and how do we make them. The next big unit you come into is your school. And believe it or not, there are politics in the school. Even in primary school, there are politics. Politics is about who exercises authority. Let me just give you an example. Why are you all sitting there listening to me? Why aren't you all just talking? Why have you deferred for however long, 20 minutes, 30 minutes? Why have you deferred authority to the person who's standing in the front of the room? Because you've been trained to do that. You grew up with a certain degree of respect, with a certain degree of deference, with a certain degree of wanting to do the right thing, of being in a classroom where the teacher is the authority. And the teachers who are here will know that the toughest thing is when you lose that authority. When all of a sudden the deference that you thought was there is gone. And when that's gone, then it's very difficult to create the dynamic that you're looking for in the context of a classroom. There's politics in your city. You're going to be discussing that question today about whether how should Toronto be governed. Toronto used to be divided up into a series of smaller cities. Then they were all brought together on the illusory idea that it would save money. You might guess which side of that debate I was on when Mr. Harris proposed it many years ago. And so you need to look at the politics in the city, the politics in the boards of education, how educational policy is developed for the region, and then of course you live in a province, so there's politics in the province. We're going to be discussing about those provincial issues. There's politics in Canada, there's politics in the world. And in each of those situations, politics is about coming to public judgment, making choices, and if you don't exercise your right to participate and to show leadership and to be there, then others simply will, and you'll just go along. You'll just have to accept whatever's coming.